I think this thing has put in a pretty formidable low here. And I think that this is going to result in some kind of a trading rally. What you're about to see is a video snippet from inside the boiler room. Every single morning before the open of the US stock markets, I analyze dozens of stocks and then decide on the trades that we're going to look at for that day with dozens of traders. We all get together, execute trades, chat some, and make some money together on a Zoom conference call. Go to thepatterntrader.com/club to find out more. And what I try and do is look for energy to coil and then figure out where that coil is going to release. And to me, I look at, for that release to the guiding either trend or pattern. And what I'm talking about, especially in the case of IGV, is that we saw this very neat bottom. Now, sometimes, we see these bottoms, they go a little bit, then they make a new low. You don't know if they're going to sustain. But irrespective, sometimes I see these bottoms and, even that move, I can make an extraordinary amount of money. So I'm always looking for markets, what I call on the turn, when they turn from one direction and then all of a sudden go in the other direction. And it's on that turn where I get in right there that I make an extraordinary amount of money. And so that is just me. This is what I look for. Obviously when things get going, you make an extraordinary amount of money when it's trending. But most of the times the markets are in a chop. They're up one day, down, up, down. And, it puts your mind on tilt. And so you really have to kind of understand what you're looking for and what your strengths are. I get very frustrated. There's shiny objects every day in the market. There's gold, silver, the euro yen, there's Tesla, there's a million things going on. And I'm such a perfectionist, and I like to believe that I can kind of see all of the possibilities. But that also distracts me, and it takes me away from my core strengths. And then I try and chase certain things and, get in the rhythm of certain things. But if you stick to your knitting and understand where your strengths are, it may take a couple of weeks. Who cares? I made all of my money in one day yesterday. So again, what I look for is some kind of guiding either trend or pattern that kind of puts me in the trail or the direction of where prices are going to go. Now, I always say the markets are like a magician. They're very good at shaking the leaves and shaking the weak hands out. But if you kind of understand what's going on, the market made a new low, bounced off the low, retested the low, kind of came through this neckline. And then very often, this is what happens. Comes through the neckline. People chase this, get very excited, but there's always one thing. Sometimes it extends a little bit more. And then you get kind of a retest of that neckline. But to me, this is what I've been focusing on. This in the last couple of weeks is just noise. So to me, this market was telling me that this was forming a bottom. Now we hear all of this kind of recession talk and war and oil and China and all of this stuff. And these are all the misdirect. This is, if you're listening to that noise, this is what creates all that confusion. And that's why you're never poised for that, that move. And it seems to come out of nowhere. But it was really set in stone a couple of weeks ago as to where this IGV was going to move. Now, again, you get these little moves that come one way and it goes on for 3-4 days. And if you're watching the market a couple hours every day, it just seems like this is just nonstop down market action. But to me, this is what I'm looking at. This is my reference. So I look at these counter trends as an opportunity. Now, there was also, this is a kind of a lot of nuanced stuff. I look at a lot of different signals, but all the way back here, there was this key reversal when the market went down to a certain level, and then it found this level, and by the end of the day, it closed at the high end of the bar. Now, certain bars just stick out. So if I'm looking at this pattern saying, this is a bottom, now I'm looking for areas where I can get in where, this is, at a bottom. So yesterday you kind of made a new low. And I always say, you got to watch how the energy enters the day and then where it goes from there. So you can see that the energy, it opened right on the low underneath those bars and then immediately started going higher. So, within the first couple of hours, this is what it was looking like early in the day. And I go, this is bottomed. And so I started buying these call options right in there. And, it looks crazy. It looks, again, I don't know if I explain it well, but what I do is I look for a reference, an anchor, something that clues me in as to what's really going on. This is just the noise and the distraction. This is just trying to shake the leaves, get the weak hands out before the real move comes. And now this looks pretty formidable. We hear all the time, we're going to go make a new low, we got a recession next year. And this is, to me, why you only have to pay attention, or you have to pay attention only to prices. And so you can see now we have the makings of a bottom here, a double bottom, and now we have an inverted head and shoulders. So now this is setting up to be a very bullish pattern. I mean, I really thought that the indexes had to go and make a new low next year. The S&P had to go to 3,200. And now, based on all of this thing, I got to revise what I'm thinking. Now, again, this could be a bear market rally. We could, rally here and still crap out. But, let's just take one step at a time. I think this thing has put in a pretty formidable low here. And I think that this is going to result in some kind of a trading rally over the next couple of weeks. So this is Qualcomm. And for the last couple of weeks in my lead thing, I've been testing it out, saying, buy it. I think there's a bottom here. And, this is what I'm looking at. So to me, this was the pattern. This is just noise. It's just trying to shake you out. And that is the difficulty. So, you always hear that, you can't predict tops and bottoms. Well, I respectfully disagree. I mean, my whole strategy is picking tops and bottoms. And this is, I think, where I really make a lot of money. The difficulty when something is topping or bottoming after a long time going in one direction is that it takes time to turn that U-boat around. When something's going down, it doesn't just go down and then straight up. It has to, build some time and build away and, create this space so that it can go in the other direction. And so this is kind of the thing that I've learned is that, I see these bottoms and, before I would see these things and I'd always be early. And then I try and get it here and it would go back. And I try and get it here and it would go back. And now I just understand that it just takes time when you're trying to test out market tops or bottoms. Like I'm saying with Moderna, I think there may be a top here, but it just doesn't go from one direction to another. It needs to kind of gestate and oscillate and create a pattern, create something where you move away from that trend and now you can move lower. And so I was telling you yesterday, I bought Qualcomm right there. I bought the stock, I bought the 122 options at $1 and they went to $8. And so this is what I was looking at yesterday. I was kind of explaining that typically I look for these kind of things. I look for market reversals to tell me when a market is reversed. So you can see it makes a new low right at a low and then closes at the high. And these things start telling us where there may be, a bottom, if there is going to be one. And then again, it takes a set of time to come around, and then the market tells us if that is a bottom. If the market starts making higher lows and higher highs, that is a real bottom. Sometimes we see these things and we don't know how long they're going to sustain for. So I typically look for, reversals that kind of tell me that, okay, it's going to reverse in that direction. But you can see that there are certain times where the markets kind of close on the low, where they go here and then they go here, and it looks like, okay, two bars and they both close on the low. But what I see is that, there's two areas where there's a possible bottom here. And this is exactly what happened in Qualcomm. Here it closed on the low, and then here it closed on the low. So now, again, some of these times you're not going to be right. But what I do is I fool around with buying it here and then giving it very little room. To my mind, if this is a bottom, then we should see the bottom. This should reveal itself. So if I get in here and I give it a little bit of leeway, you can get I'm always looking for the offset of the risk and reward. Where can I get in at an area where I can test out something and take a little bitty risk for just a ridiculous return? And to me, that's what Qualcomm represented. Hey, if you would like to trade alongside me every day and join our most prestigious program, then head over to thepatterntrader.com/club for more information.